Hello, everybody, and welcome to the BrokenStools Podcast. I'm your good buddy Anthony. I'm joined here by big man Shane,
I think my
bigger
stool
man
broke.
Gavin. Your
Threw a monkey
stool
into a
broke.
wrench.
Oh, who threw this monkey at my wrench?
You can dodge a monkey, you can dodge a ball.
You Shit, man, you can dodge a monkey, you can dodge most things.
Those things are fucking ferocious.
Yeah, dude, they'll rip your nuts off, bro.
Feed
Not
each
only
other.
that, but also you just imagine just not just like seeing something like imagine seeing something heavy thrown at you. Now imagine seeing something heavy with like sharp teeth and claws like ready to tear you apart coming at you.
Ugh.
God, shit's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So now
it is
we're here to
another
talk.
podcast. Today's a podcast. We're not talking about no monkeys, nor monkey wrenches, or wrench monkeys. We're not
Wrench
talking about
wielding
that.
monkeys.
We're talking about whatever we brought to the table. I don't know what they've got in mind. I know what I've got in mind.
Well, you're starting us off, big man. So,
Yes, sir. The topic that I am bringing to the table is a
okay.
big one. It's a big one. Covers a lot of ground. We're all going to have a lot to say about
We're gonna fall from the atmosphere.
Ugh.
it.
Ugh.
Yeah, we just watched a video of a guy who skydived from space.
Call me Felix.
Yep. You could
Yeah.
see the atmosphere.
Yeah, it was scary. None of us were comfortable.
Mm-hmm. I had
But
to look
that's
away from
not.
most of it.
Ooh, I did. I stared.
I couldn't.
But that is not the topic. The topic today, you know it, you love it, you enjoy it heavily. Sometimes you wait a very long time for it, but it's all worth it in the end. I am talking about
Coom.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
Oh boy!
D&D.
This is it. The fucking episode 3 is gonna be our peak.
D&D. Dynamite.
No, the peak of our podcast episodes is when I finally do a one-off session for the little stools.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a different podcast. Shut up. The secret
It's a different
project.
podcast, you're gonna-
Secret fucking project.
No.
No, it is. Shut up.
They know. They already know. I told
No.
them.
I am your boss. Shut your goddamn mouth.
And as the boss of today, shut your goddamn mouth. But yeah, today's topic is D&D. We all play D&D.
What
at least
does
the
that
three of
stand
us.
for?
I said it at the start.
What's
Dungeons
it
Doing
stand
your
for?
dad.
dicking and dadding. You are dicking somebody and then you are dadding. You are at the grill in your socks and sandals with your cargo pants and whatever shirt you choose. It could be a floral button up. It could be a muscle shirt, aka a sleeveless shirt, aka a beater. Depends on
I
what you
thought
call it.
I thought you were about to describe like a dad working the grill getting fucked over it.
No,
So what you're
I'm
saying
talking about
is that
dad.
I D&D Jimmy's dad?
Yeah, exactly.
Clever grill.
Clever grill. I like that.
Clever grill. It's very
This one's propane.
good.
I know a
Yeah,
guy.
But what about the other topic? Today's boss man. What like specifically?
Well, we're all in a campaign right now. We're in a campaign of Star Wars 5e.
You
and
don't
it's
know
very
that.
fun.
You don't know.
And I am the DM.
Yes, he is the DM. He has been my second and only other DM since my very first campaign.
Considering
And,
you said second.
well, yeah. But, you know, I you don't know, I could have been in other campaigns with other people. I could have
No,
been
you're right. I'm sorry.
could
You're
have
right.
cheating, but I'm not because I'm a loyal man with a loyal wife. I don't have a wife.
Nor do you have a husband.
Let's end the podcast on that.
Well,
But we all very much enjoy D&D, and we've all been playing together for quite a while. So I figure we can regale each other with some stories of our characters, perhaps some DM tricks, some player tricks, ways to exploit without really breaking the game. If you want, that's you know entirely up to you. what you look for in a good campaign, what you've learned as a DM or as a player, and perhaps the concept of stepping outside of your comfort zone in D&D.
Mm.
I see.
I
Who do you
said this
want?
was a big topic.
Yeah, who do you want to go first? And considering that like this topic is so big, if you're not gonna be going first, ask like specific questions to
That's why I
the
presented numerous different specific things you could go into.
I know, but I
So
was thinking more so like like what do you really want to know from the person?
okay, yeah, we can save some stories of campaigns for the end of this
Mhm.
topic. So Shane, I
Yeah.
want you to go first. Tell us about maybe a character or two of yours, and what you were going for with them, what you liked about them, what you wish you did different, anything like that.
Um. Oh fuck! What was his name?
Ooh.
Um. So, one of the very first characters I ever made was for a campaign that was held by a friend of mine back when I was in Francis Tuttle, and it was full of people from the programming software development class. Owen was in there. Elliot was in there. Um, and this dwarf was specifically a Firebeard dwarf. So
Um,
pretty much, the only difference is like I think they still have the same boost to like strength and constitution,
mhm.
but I pretty much started with the cantrip. Um, oh fuck, I
You're
don't
good.
I don't remember the name of the cantrip, but pretty much it was you fucking touch someone and your hand's on fire and then they go foof and then they're on fire.
All right.
Um, and oh, I remember now. Okay. Um, this dwarf went hand in hand with Elliot's dwarf as they were twins.
Oh.
Beefus and Smeefus.
I like that.
Would you like to take a guess at what I played?
Beefless.
I was Beefus. I was Beefus.
I
He was a fighter. As my favorite stereotype in fantasies, like fantasy worlds, are dwarven warriors that run around with a big ass fucking two-handed weapon, whether it be an
mhm.
axe or a hammer or like a maul. Those are my preferences. But I don't mind swords. Swords are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think actually both of us used two-handed weaponry, and we just kind of we brought it into the game like fucking tag team double fuck your shit up because we had a ranger and we had a ranger, I want to say it was a cleric, and a shit. What is the one that's mostly based around nature and healing? Druid, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we were pretty much up front, and then everybody else kind of handled shit from the back. Um, I got really upset that we never finished the campaign. Um, because the last session that we did ended up having us go through a portal that took us back to the volcano of which the Firebeards resided in because they
Okay.
they dwelled in a volcano. And frost giants had murdered everyone and raided, and they were all still there. Like we joined in the middle of a fucking raid by fucking frost giants,
Oh.
like towered over mountains kind of shit. And
Oh.
we got left on that cliffhanger. We never got to continue.
Damn.
I was really proud of Beefus too. I think he was my most fleshed out character.
Hmm.
He was, he and his twin, were both veterans of the military, uh, let go on an honorable discharge as the sole survivors of ambush of the Frostbeards, which are a a homebrew sub race that went along with the Firebeards. Um, I don't know. I really enjoyed his character, and I think he might still be one of my favorites to this day.
What was this RP like? Like, what was his shtick?
His shtick
Yeah, like what would you say would be a good way to describe him?
he was kind of comic relief half the time, and the other time being completely serious. Mostly because his wife was a bitch that was, you know, the stereotypes of like '80s shows, uh, like, oh fuck, what kind of, like, oh, I don't even know. I don't want to say they're considered dramas, but like, kind of like that '70s show, but more '80s style, where it's like
Okay.
the over exaggerated, uh, fucking hair curls, always in like the perm, fucking waving the fucking wooden spatula around, and she's like, "You leave these fucking cookies alone! I'm
No.
fucking baking here." And Beefus was just like, "Listen, I'm trying to deal with my war PTSD. I'm trying to keep my brother alive, and now we got to deal with this fucking bullshit. Listen, lady, I'm not. I don't want the cookies."
I
Like
don't want your
she
fucking cookies.
She like I feel like the DM half almost made her a schizophrenic with how often she would just find a problem that Beefus had made that wasn't there. Like, why did you make this bed wrong? I haven't even been. I've been on the couch. You won't let me in the bed because you think I stole the cookies. Uh, God, I miss Beefus so much. And then fucking Elliot was like, "Yeah, and Smeefus fucks your wife." What? And that was so.
That's canon.
So out traveling with the party, like they would both sit down to write letters. Smeefus would sneak away with Beavis's letter and like burn it, and send his own to Beavis's wife.
Oh,
Fucking legend, bro.
And I was just like, man, it's a good thing Beavis doesn't know about this. Otherwise, he'd probably cry at the hooker house.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's my favorite character. If I had to say a character that I wish I'd done more with character-wise, not like finishing the story, would have to be my Minotaur character, who I don't remember the name of.
Beefus.
It was no,
It was
uh,
Schmeefus.
this Schmeefus. Um, Owen actually was the one that DM'd for those campaigns with my
Oh.
Minotaur. Um, I once picked up Elliot's character that was pretty much Will Ferrell as Elf,
What's up?
and I threw him like a football at a tabaxi. Because he was like, "Yeah, throw me at her," and I was like, "Oh, well, I guess human and elf ask, elf get done." Yeet. Fucking threw him. I wish I'd have stuck to his character more in RP. Because he was, typical barbarian minotaur. He swung around a big weapon, and he wasn't the brightest fucking knife in the cookie jar.
Mm.
Yell at the fucking cookies!
Oh shit, she's back.
The wench.
Fun fact, he almost got cooked alive like 3 times.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, like he was the type that was all about camaraderie, and
Camaraderie.
so if like we ran into a group that we weren't supposed to yet, and everybody else was like, "Run away!" He was like, me buy time," and then he'd
Oh.
get captured and almost roasted over a fire.
Damn.
Well then.
And that introduced Owen's god character, the bartender, who was uh Felix? Maybe? I might be misremembering. That might have been his bird character. But I'm gonna say it was Felix. And he was like a fucking god tier, what's it called? They make the pact with like a deity to cast their spells. Based off of charisma. Um,
I
no,
don't know. I've never played a magic character.
fuck. I don't. Somebody'll know. Um,
Somebody.
somebody'll
Is
know.
it Warlock?
Yeah, Warlock. He was fucking god tier Warlock, only at like level 12.
Oh.
He still had 8 fucking levels to go, and he would show up and be like, "No," and then they would get my boy out the cage, and he tended to have burn scars and singed fur. Gotta say,
That's the pint glass.
his favorite thing to do was to lower his head, charge forward, and fucking You've watched Dragon Ball GT, Anthony. So you
Oh,
know
I have.
when Omega Shenron has like his spines on his back and fucking throws like Goku on it and jumps up
Yeah.
and down to continuously like stab in and out of him.
Yeah.
That's what he would do on the bull horns on top of his head.
Oh.
He made a game out of it. He had a good time.
Hell yeah.
Do you want to know any other instances of anything different before I pass the baton?
Let me see. Your least favorite character.
Oh
Like a
shit.
character that you played as, you just didn't have a good time. It just wasn't fun. Nothing turned out how you thought it would. Your
Fucking
character development
Nunolo.
just was.
I was like, yeah, I'll finally step out of my fucking comfort zone and play a rogue character. Lo and fucking behold, rogues weren't worth shit. Oh, they know the force. They can't be stuck up upon, but that's all I do. Oh god, I was so fucking nettled when I found out that I wouldn't be able to be like, oh yeah, I'm finally gonna do rogue damage. Rogue damage.
Damn. I like Nunolo as a character.
I also love him as a character, but his fucking class. Fucking 10 levels into fucking rogue my ass. More like 10 levels into bullshit.
I was a big enjoyer of Marwyn, my character from that campaign. Still playing as her.
I love Marwyn. He's a national
Yeah, me
treasure.
too. She.
I'm saying he because my character don't know that yet, bro.
Ah, fair enough, fair enough. Well, yeah, your character doesn't know.
Yeah.
But that's all I have for you. Gavin, same thing for you. I know you're a DM, but I'm sure you've played a character before.
No.
So, unfortunately, I have only ever actually gotten to play 2 games as a player.
Oh.
For context, Little Stools, I have been, at this point, an almost 5-year DM.
It's a sad life.
It is, but it's fun. Not gonna talk about my first character because I'm very not proud of that one. That was cringe.
Seems on brand.
My second character, though, I am some semblance of proud of. So, this was the beginning of my realization of how much I enjoyed not only D&D but also just RP in general, which started my descent into RPGs. Skelly Boy the Scalawag. So, it was a British soldier, well, the equivalent of a British soldier for the session that we played. This was when I was 15. Um,
Gross.
By the
and
way, you're very close to your mic, so back out a little bit.
my mic is on my head.
Move it a little
You,
further
you,
away, maybe?
hmm
Maybe move it a little further away. You seem to sound a lot bassier than usual.
How's that?
That's much
That's
better.
better.
Okay, my headphones are sagging backwards a little bit. Anyways, so this was when I was 15, and uh, I essentially this person served as a naval soldier all of his life, super proud for his country and his people and whatever. But he was killed by his commanding officer because he wanted to report one of the other soldiers killing a citizen. Cue him waking up at the very bottom of the ocean as a skeleton 300 years later and being an absolute rebel and deciding to become a pirate amongst a completely oblivious human crew of pirates. The entirety of his time as a character was him disguising himself and doing his best to act like a human, all the way until level 20.
Huh.
Hmm.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Believe it or
I
not,
can.
hmm?
Nope, go ahead.
Believe it or not, hiding your identity alone is super fun with RP.
Oh, believe me, I know.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, but
you
here's the
would
thing.
know.
It's super funny when it's obvious. Like you know how like a lot of people love Octodad and stuff? It was like that kind of thing. They would be like, "Ah, Skillet Boy, you want some rum?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I love me some rum. Hand it over here." And he'd like kind of like turn around and drink, and he's like, "Ah, come on, let me see your drinking face." And he's like, "Sorry, all out." Smashes the bottle as a bunch obviously goes on the floor. Roll deception.
I
You
like
like
It'd
that a
that a
be
lot.
lot.
it'd be very obvious shit, like Octodad. He'd say shit like, "Ah, I love human exercises, like running. Ah, we hate cardio, Skella boy. Uh, uh, I like it. Roll deception. Like,
I
very
really
obvious. Yeah, he was a really fun character. And when Cam brought up the whole necromancy thing, being super outlawed, I really liked that. I was gonna actually revive Skeletor and refine him, but then I came up with a whole new idea that I had never done.
Griggy.
Griggy, whether it be as an NPC or a character.
Where
We
is a
stand
Goku,
Griggy.
Griggy?
What'd you say? Ed?
I said we stand Griggy.
Oh yeah. So for context, my partner, Cam, is going to be doing a D&D campaign where I will get to break my almost 5-year streak of being a DM. And I'm playing a character by the name of Gricky. He's a grung that in his years he is 12 years old. He's a cleric that just wants to be like his parents. And he is a child thrust into a world of unending hate, agony, and death.
It's gonna be great.
And he's not
Yeah.
grim or anything. He stays as innocent and happy as a child.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully he
The
stays that
goal
way.
is to keep him as sane as long as possible.
And
To
that
keep
has
him
sort of
innocent and
become.
childlike.
It's kind of become almost like a side quest for the party to keep him like that. Like my
But that ain't even my
character.
suggestion. They just like Riggy a lot.
Yeah. Like
He's
my character,
adorable.
his name is Frederick Pumpernickel III, fourth of his name. Sir Frederick Pumpernickel III, fourth of his name. Um, Griggy, um, don't swim in that water silo. It's directly sustaining the nearby town. If you do that, it's gross water. You don't want that water on you. That's Frederick's voice. Do
Yeah.
Griggy's?
I haven't found the perfect voice for him yet, but it's something like it's like this. Something along those lines.
I'm Griggy.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I play a Warforged that's pretty much a copy paste of Android 16 from Dragon Ball.
which
And
I'm also excited for.
he also has the same exact fucking goal as the Dragon Ball version. Looking for
Yeah.
Son Goku.
Picture abridged, if you ever watched it, Dragon Ball abridged Android 16. Hello, where is Son Goku?
Son Goku is not here.
No, Android 16. He is not. But I think if we go far away, we may find it.
So, well, the plot of this anime is that Mandroid 16 doesn't understand that Greggy is a child. He thinks he's an adorable being, but he doesn't understand that he just doesn't know who Son Goku is. He doesn't know the answers to the universe. So anything that Mandroid 16 doesn't know, he asks Griggy.
Speaking of Griggy and answers, another bit of the RP that I have for him is that he's super wise, but only when he's either very tired or just straight up asleep.
Yeah, which I like a lot.
Griggy, I've lost purpose in life. My wife is dead. My children are dead. There's nothing left to live for. What am I doing? Yeah, you will find purpose soon, if not live for those around you. Like that's essentially just like the vibe of what some of his RP is gonna be.
Greggy, my days from the Crusades are catching up to me, and I don't know if I'll be mentally fit for this for much longer.
Well, you see, even if you may not be as good as usual, you're still an integral part of the team.
When you said well, you see, I was thinking about breakfast and I was like, oh no, what's Griggy about to fucking say?
Yes, hey.
No, no. I want to stop that bit before it goes a little too far.
A little bit.
Damn,
But
boys.
any other questions you have for me?
um,
If you want me to, I can tell you guys what the first character I made, even though I hate every second of it.
yeah. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about him, and then I'll say my characters, and we can move on to the next part of this.
Okay. 14 years old, so keep this in mind. I was a freshman in high school. I had no social self-awareness, right? Excuse me.
Very
My
nice
nose.
number coming from Gavin on microphone 3.
So,
We're not in a
um,
studio.
this is a story that all of you heard, other DMs. You might be familiar with this. Paladin who well, ex-Paladin more so, disgraced Paladin, I guess you could say, that isn't a fan of the gods, whose town was raided as they were a little child, saw their parents killed in front of their eyes, village burned, adopted by the church, was like, hey yo, if these gods are real, why did they abandon my town, leaves, and is on a quest to just kill a god.
Alexander Henderson?
Very edgy.
Alexander Anderson. Yeah, that is a pretty edgy character. That's like almost on par with like lone wolf rogue.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
it might actually just be on par, because fucking betrayed paladins are. They're pretty common, but yeah, super edgy.
Yep.
Yeah. Only reason I
I,
say a little better.
Oh shit! I
Uh,
forgot. Before Skelly Boy, I did have a character. I have had three characters. This was for a one-off. Um, Lone Wolf, not because Lone Wolf Ranger, not because he didn't like people, but because he was an introvert and socially awkward and realized that he wasn't able to fix that, so it was just better for him to not interact with very many people.
Yeah.
okay.
And in doing so, the party decided to make him the leader.
No.
So there'd be a lot of cases where like he wasn't upset with being around people or like dismaying them. He was just like, well, I mean, I guess we could do this side quest if you guys really want. It's okay if you don't want to. We could do this. This would be so much easier if it was just me.
Please don't put my pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was his lone wolf arc.
Those characters are
Alright.
always kind of adorable, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the lone wolf stereotype as long as there's a reason for them to be a lone wolf. If
Like
it's just like,
Jim.
I don't trust people, yeah, that's cringe. But if it's like, I'm socially inept,
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
that's funny.
And also, don't use this as an excuse to be a dick.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
what your RP is kind of what people will see you as, at least during that game. If you
yeah,
RP a dick, you will be seen as a dick. And if you use it's what my character would do as an excuse, you're just an ass. And you don't know what else your characters would do? If your character's being a dick, separate you from their party, aka kick you out of the group.
Mhm.
Take it from
Yeah,
somebody as a DM. Don't do that.
yeah. Even me as a player who's only done what, fucking three, four characters total,
Mhm.
maybe five. It's still like, just don't be that way. Like,
Yeah.
have a reason if you're going to be like that, and then do some character development to where
To
they are no
become better.
longer an insufferable cunt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
be
exactly.
better. Cringe
Be
boy.
better. Like the hit song, "Do Better," but no. But if that is all Gavin has to say,
Oh, one last thing. I completely forgot to say his name.
go on.
His parents were both also introverts and wanted to raise somebody who wasn't like him or like them. So they gave him a name, Pimpin' Pumpernickel.
Pink Pumpernickel. I like that.
Oh,
It
that's
did not.
really good.
It did not go well.
Yo, what's up, pimpin'?
Not much. You
Uh, vibing, good, vibing, very good. Who were you?
yeah. He is also a character that I really love.
Makes sense, makes sense.
But yeah,
But
that's about it.
yeah, but my characters. Favorite character I've played, hands down, Marwin. I enjoy playing as Marwin so fucking much. So
Hmm.
Marwin, for the little stools, is my Star Wars 5e character. Start of the campaign, she was 17. Fresh out of academy to become a pilot on Coruscant. And she wears this mask, right? It's a very nondescript mask, but it masks the voice as well. And the whole point of literally every single aspect of this character that I ever did, from the drawings, the voice, how she acts, everything, was meant to imply that she is a man. And even these two were fucking surprised when I finally revealed, because I felt they had earned it, that she's not. Down to the armor I picked for her. I deliberately picked a worse armor than I could have, specifically so it could be worn under clothing to hide any, shall we say, appendages. And I very much enjoy her. I wrote backstory, which kind of goes at the very start along the realm of the start of a potentially edgy character, but then it brings it back very, very nicely, I think. And the whole personality of this character, right?
Mhm.
Picture a jittery, somewhat jittery, not very jittery, and almost nervous person with a British voice, like, "Oh, Jim, I haven't seen you in so long. Since school, right? Yeah. Very good, very good. How have you been? Have you been? Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry your dog died. Yeah. Anyway, it's like that, and
Very often.
it's just a
Very
fun character to play.
Yeah, and very often, because the Marwin is the character for this Star Wars 5e campaign that I've been DMing for these two wonderful boys, is literally just like bullshit your way. The
Oh
character.
yeah, I literally wrote in flaws, tends to string lies way too long. So like at the very start, first session, first 10 minutes of the session, an Imperial ship pulls up. They're like, "Hey, you're not fucking, you got your pass or whatever the fuck." I don't remember exactly. And then
Yeah.
what was the guy? The captain?
The
Yes.
captain of the galactic cruiser for
Yes.
the
So the captain boards our ship, and I am pretty much like, "Oh, I haven't seen you since school. How have you been?" Turns out that was my professor. Said professor takes a swig of a drink after some nice reminiscing with Marwin. Started breathing. It's poison. It's
Yeah.
fucking poison.
It was poison that my
And
character had just made.
yep, I attempt to do a med check. I accidentally punched through his fucking chest.
yeah. What'd you get? Like a 2?
Something like that.
Something very, very low.
Yeah,
It was rough.
but so I accidentally killed that guy. And then later, when when we are escaping from the casino we were robbing, which we are, which we have also just robbed again, um, I see this dude guarding the back door to the getaway vehicle, and I bullshit my way into being like, "Oh, I remember you from school. It's been a long time. How are you?" Because we went to school together. Head explodes seconds later. Fucking head just pops like a balloon. And I'm just like, "Oh, okay." And almost every exchange I have with somebody that requires me to get somewhere or do something, I lie. Like, in the casino, there's this girl fucking uh, talking about how something broke up, and I walk over, I'm like, "Oh, how are you doing? I heard something about breaking up, and I wanted to make sure you're all right." Talking about the band. Um, and then I bullshit my way through the kitchen, save her from falling on top of a bunch of vibroblades, which would have killed her probably, um,
Insecurity.
in a security, and just keep bullshitting my way through. I bullshitted my way past the owner of the casino in the second robbery. I got a nat
Mhm.
1 on like a D100. Came across the owner, and I got out of there because
For for context, a little stools. I make them occasionally during certain situations a luck check, which is a D100 with no modifier.
yes, and
Mm-hmm.
nat 100 very good. Nat 1 very bad. Um, and I bullshit my way into basically saying, yeah, I'm actually here because I wanted an interview with you. To I think it would be better if the owner of the establishment would do the interview rather than some crony or something like that. Starts choking on a death stick. I save him, and he's like, "Anything you want, it's yours." I don't ask for money, nothing. Just I want to get through that door. All right, you're good to go. Thanks. So Marwin bullshits her way through everything. I love this character. I feel like I have made a very solid character
Oh,
in terms of
absolutely.
RP, story, and it's a believable character. It isn't outrageous like my previous character, Genova.
I will say Geneva's does make sense though. For a very long time, attempts to just simply create Sith in vats have always been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
She
Genevis
wasn't super
was
unbelievable.
Genevis was my original idea for a character, which was a hybrid between Sith pureblood and human, and
Yeah.
created in the lab, basically a fucking test tube baby. And I don't remember all the lore, but I'm pretty sure um, he was betrayed by his master, which is not uncommon, and wanted to find an exact revenge. Now, this character would have been edgy, but not like insufferable edgy. It would have been just like kind of funny edgy almost.
Yeah.
It would be kind of like a parody.
Yeah. It would be making fun of the edgy stereotypes while also doing things that weren't edgy stereotype-ish. Like in a social situation with a bunch of randos, he's all serious and fucking huge, like 7 foot something or some shit. I think it was 7'7".
Yes, 7'7".
Yeah, 7'7" Sith, and has 2 lightsabers. Already sounds cringe. However, outside of those, be like, yeah, we're just chilling, we're vibing, we hovering above in this oven, just chill.
He's a fucking
But
psychopath, is what he is.
yes,
I'm pretty sure you also said that like whenever like he also tries to like make the entire party think he's straight, when in actuality he's like super gay.
I didn't do that.
Was it a
I did
different character?
not
Because I
do
could have
that.
sworn I talked about a character that you were making that was like that.
I don't recall.
Was it the Pip character?
No,
No.
no. Pip was straight. Pip was actually straight. I don't remember, but a character that I definitely think I could have worked on more is my very first D&D character, Grog. He is a half-orc. Was a half-orc. Who, typical backstory, his little village was raided. And this was when he was old enough to fight, so he wasn't like a little kid. And they lost. However, he wasn't killed. He was just assumed dead. And he ended up getting severe brain damage due to a chop to the head from an axe. And while he was originally very coherent, at this point he's just like, pick up bug, eat bug. He also hates goblins. Like, just hates them. Like, I literally said to the party, which I didn't know any of these people except the DM. I straight up said, if we come across goblins, somebody hold me back, because I will be killing those goblins. Very first tavern we get to, the barkeeper's a hobgoblin.
I promise you that when you said that, the DM, if it was not already a hobgoblin, made it a hobgoblin.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And since it was a hobgoblin, I didn't have him instantly attack. More so, he was just keep a distance, stare, be hostile, but not like violent.
He
It was
pretty
more
much
so just like, I don't want to talk to you, and if we have to talk, we'll keep it brief. I ended up fighting him. Much later, Grog got into a fight with him because I call him a fucking goblin, and he's like, do I look like a fucking goblin to you? Do I look as small as a goblin to you? Grog, standing 6'8", comparatively, yes. And then it started a brawl. Now, one of our party members made us both really fucking big with magic, right? So we're both easily almost double our height, if not double. I'm using a butchering axe, because this is Pathfinder. This isn't normal D&D, this was Pathfinder. And the hobgoblin is just using his claws. It's such a close call that we both fainted. And I wake up, and the owner of this establishment is a fucking goblin. And he has stolen my weapon and shrunk it down so that it can be used by him. I RP'd this character to the max when it came to goblins, because I literally declined getting my axe back by just apologizing because of the fact that a filthy fucking goblin had touched it. Didn't want anything to do with it. And the rest of that campaign, which ended like 3 sessions later, maybe 4, rest of that campaign was Grog trying to build himself a new butchering axe. Failing every time. And at the very last session, I tried to intimidate a river to, and I failed. But then the river spat my fucking makeshift butchering axe back out at me, and did a lot of damage. But I kind of wish I had done a little bit more with Grog, because obviously it was a very short campaign. We played, I think, every other week, and then a bunch of shit kept coming up, so it ended up being more like every 3 weeks, which was very sad, but
happens.
yeah, it happens.
Now, to put this into perspective, the whole reason that he was so against goblins, the character, was because this was around the time that I believe you first watched Goblin Slayer, right?
Yes, this is when I had first discovered Goblin Slayer.
So,
And to this day, most characters I make in D&D hate goblins.
it's a
Because
fair
I
statement.
hate goblins. Matter of fact, Marwyn hates Jawas, which is my interpretation of Star Wars goblins.
Well,
Even
they
though I'm
also
pretty sure they're...
they ganged up on you in an alleyway too, so like it's
Yes.
warranted.
More current lore on Marwyn is after the events of the first part of the campaign, they had to lay low and pretty much go into quote-unquote retirement. New Nolo stayed in retirement, but Marwyn didn't. Because a few years into retirement, quote-unquote, she's taking a different path home. Fuck it, you know? I want to take a different path. I walk the same path every day. I'm on a walk, might as well explore. Goes down an alleyway. And then behind her, a little gang of Jawa refugees. One of them had a big old metal pipe. Yeah. And they fucking whoop her ass, causing amnesia. Such a bad beating that she does not remember anything about herself. She doesn't even know that the voice projected through her mask isn't her real voice. So she got her ass whooped. And in that campaign, as Marwyn, I actually I do memory checks every time something comes up that would reasonably jog your memory. So like walking back onto the ship again, I do a memory check. And it's like, oh, I got a 95. I feel like I've been here before. You know, like that sort of thing. It's nothing
That
like
100s are they do remember.
yes. So the higher the roll, the more I remember. So like I got like a 97 when trying to remember all the people that were originally on the ship. And well, I remembered what they looked like. I didn't remember their names, but I remembered roughly where everybody was and roughly what they looked like. So it's a slow character build up to becoming Marwyn again. Didn't even remember her name at the start. But I definitely think that's my strongest character in terms of like character building and RP and all that.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time with Marwyn.
Marwyn's pretty pog.
Nova though, oh my god.
Genova was a nightmare.
I would honestly say, despite how much I loved playing as Genova, he's probably my least favorite character. Strictly for the fact that he is a copy-paste of Sephiroth and is probably twice as scary, at least. Like literally, snap my fingers and roll intimidation and just whatever I want to happen. If I roll high enough, it happens. In a desert, when we first got there, I rolled intimidation on the glass and turned the whole desert, if not most of it, into glass.
The
Which
desert
was currency.
Yeah, when you said glass the first time you meant sand.
Oh, yeah. It was a desert of sand, and I turned it into glass with intimidation.
Which
And then as
was
we were leaving
currency
the
for
kingdom...
the lizard folk that lived there.
Yeah. And as we were leaving it, after we did all of our quest shit there, two things happened in the same timeline. Different timelines, rather, but the same, like, situation. So, first time, NPC takes my compass, throws it on the ground, stomps on it. I wanted to scare the shit out of him and make him really regret what he just did. So, I roll intimidation to make a big bunch of glass way off in the distance explode. I got a really fucking low roll. So instead, the entire fucking kingdom exploded. And I believe Gavin said I would have been over level 20 had Owen, the guy from earlier, not had the spell Wish. And then we were just like, rewind time! Rewind time! And at that point, I just instead turned it all back into sand, and you could hear them chanting One Winged Angel as they were building something.
That campaign was very hectic. Now I know that many of you are like probably like up in arms, like, why would you let that happen to the DM? It was less so a that was probably like my loosest game I've ever done. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have some fun with the boys, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that isn't how he normally DMs. That one was like,
No,
hey,
that was
let's
the
have
exception.
yeah. The current one is a lot scarier for us.
Yeah.
And I do like it, but I gotta say, fucking big props to Gavin for that Genova campaign for being able to just change shit up on the fly. Like, oh, very first session, we're all level 1. I go down to this basement. There's a little vampire child tied into a chair which is bolted to the floor because he's a vampire. Um, after we had murdered the shop owner, who was like 80 something, uh, and
We've
I walk up to our tabaxi companion, and I'm like, "Can I see your fire rapier?" And she's like, "Sure." And I'm like, "I'll be right back." And I walk into the cellar. Good to see you, Cloud. And then I set the fucker on fire, and I walk out whilst blaring One Winged Angel from my TV so that they could hear it. I was level 5 immediately.
Yeah, we were a
So
bunch of murder hobos.
Yeah.
he had unknowingly killed somebody that was going to be a boss later on in the campaign. See, I had put a so see, I put a vampire child down there, both of them down, and had the 80-year-old, thinking, oh, he's a victim of not only this affliction, but also of just having to be somebody to quote unquote burden his shop owner who is a grandfather. It's just a super sad situation, and there's nothing you can do about it for there's no cure for vampirism. And instead, they're like, no, we're gonna kill him.
Yeah. Mostly my character, because my character was chaotic evil.
Yeah,
The rest of the party wasn't.
And we had no
yeah,
idea what the fuck he was gonna do when he went back down there. Like, our characters weren't aware. Obviously, everybody outside of the character's point of view was like, oh god.
yeah. And all of
Yeah.
you who are very good players and RP'd despite that knowledge.
Yeah. That campaign was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a nightmare to counterbalance, though.
Yeah, but you did it. You did it pretty well, too.
Mm,
I loved that campaign.
it was something. But what new questions do you have for us?
I really just want to know, have you got any tips on DMing? And then we can move on to the next topic. I want to know if you got any like pointers, tips, little suggestions for what you think makes a good DM.
It's through my one experience in trying to DM, it's good to have goals and to use your imagination, but don't try to bite off too much at once.
Mm,
And try to have a decent balance of combat and RP, cause I I had a lot of combat,
hmm.
and I was making, like, in the time frame that I did it, I rushed a lot of things like making homebrew races and homebrew enemies, which could have turned out pretty well had I not been a
Rushed it.
dumbass. Yeah. But just set goals for yourself and don't be too overambitious. Be ambitious in what you want. Don't be overambitious in how fast you can get it done.
Be 5 sessions ahead ambitious. Not
Yeah.
over that.
Yeah. Like,
Now,
uh, real quick, I just want to say, adding on to that ambition, I've never DM'd. I wanted to DM. I still kind of want to, but for the campaign I wanted to DM, I tried to set up a whole thing of like Party leader rolls a D100. And I had a list of 100 different things that could happen in this one area that you could go back to several times, just once a day pretty much. And it was this big canyon. And whatever you rolled is what happened. And my fucking God, if I hadn't decided to do that, I could very well be DMing a campaign right now. But that was such a massive bit to bite on the very first attempt at DMing. So if you have a big ambition, like something major that you really want to try, don't try it on your first campaign. At least if it's that big, because you might get discouraged. Once you're a little more into the groove of DMing, bigger things like that probably going to come a little bit easier, at least everything else about the campaign. But something that is a completely new thing that isn't being done, save it for when you're a little more experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, this is a even though this isn't going to be any advice, this is just a thing that I figured that you two should know, but also little stools. Despite the fact that I have stopped rebalancing Star Wars 5e since it was somehow just actually pretty well balanced, um, I have been making a new D&D campaign.
Oh.
Is it the 5e campaign you were working on?
Hmm. However, this one's a different one.
Ooh.
Imagine D&D and roguelite.
Oh.
Strange.
That's
But
scary.
new.
Very ambitious.
Hmm. However, I have plenty of experience, so I can be.
Yes,
True.
it comes right back to it. Ambition with
Experience.
expertise isn't a bad thing. But ambition as a rookie, that's tough. It's like joining the army expecting to become a really, really high rank.
It's gonna
But,
kill
like,
you.
you're
It's
just
gonna
a
kill
guy.
your ambition before it can really start to get off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Advice as a DM. Fuck, there's a lot of advice I could give. First off, don't worry about DMing if it's your first time. Make sure that all the players that you have for your first time DMing are people that you know and people that you know will understand if it is not a good session and can give you actual criticism instead of telling you that you suck. My partner Cam, they were told that one time when they DM'd that they sucked at that session that they were DMing, and they were discouraged from DMing for many years until now. Make sure that the first session that you DM for, all the players that you have are people that will understand that this is your first time and understand that when they go into it and know what to expect.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Second thing, don't worry about being hard on your players. Do you want to know a big thing that a lot of DMs just kind of silently do, quote unquote? We fudge rolls. If we think something is too hard on a player or would just be unfun, we change the roll a little bit to something that will still be pretty drastic, but not just outright kill them.
Mm-hmm.
You can have your campaign be difficult and also have it be fun. Your players having a difficult time will add to the immersion and add to the just in general experience that they will have with your campaign.
Don't be afraid to kill off players' characters, but don't be a dick and do it in a way that's not true to the campaign or the story, or is just outright a dickish move.
Yeah. Like,
Unless, and this is one big unless that a lot of DMs agree on. If the player is making problems to the group and I don't mean like this player is just somebody who's like quiet or insecure in their ability to play their character or whatever. I mean somebody who is actively making things harder on the party and making the campaign less fun. you're fighting to kill them off. One time they had a player AM that was just constantly, almost every single turn, trying to ruin the player's experience. And I gave it a little bit of an excuse until they got to level 2 and they had no character development. At that point, I had them all they had to separate in this dungeon. The one that was a dick, I had the well, Squinicle had them. I was able to direct them in a natural way to a large room that had Tarrasque in it that ate him.
Oh, based.
And let me tell you, the smiles on my players' faces when that happened.
I bet.
That's another thing. You as a DM, it is your job. I repeat, it is your job to make sure that players are having fun. If none of them are comfortable, that is your job to make them so. If none of them, if some of them are having an unfun time, talk to them, figure out what's going on, and try to change that. As DM, you're the game. You're just reading, you're just following a book. The game is what you make it. Keep that in mind. And
of course, you are signing up for one that is meant to be unforgiving and extremely difficult and could very well just not be fun at times. In
Like
which case, they know what they're signing up for. They're there
Yeah.
for that.
yeah. And another piece of advice for those of you that don't get combat or get that your players are like, hey, this combat is a bit too much for me. What, as a DM, you might get caught up in the idea of, oh, this will be difficult. Your job is to not beat the players. As a DM, when you're making combat, your job is to be beaten. Don't get competitive with who you're trying to have fun. You set things up to lose, not to win.
Well, I
Unless
think
it's something that's very obvious as a boss that they have to run away from or something along those lines.
I feel like that depends on what kind of campaign it is as well.
Honestly, not even. Because if the combat is simply just too difficult, it will not be fun. Unless obviously you're like, hey, this is a campaign where combat will be brutal, it will be punishing, yada yada yada. That is with pretense. Unless you give that context, your job is not to beat the player.
Yeah.
That is not your job. It is never your job, unless given that context. Your job is to be beaten. Flat out, that's how it is.
Yeah, because otherwise it's you might as well be playing a competitive game otherwise. Like
Exactly.
if you wanted to play something competitive, you'd probably play something where you're all on an even playing field, not some fucking
Tabletop
rogue
Warhammer.
from a city fighting God.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, always remember when you start DMing, or even if you're 5 years into DMing and just for some reason don't know this, your job is to make sure the players are having fun. That is the most important
Capital
thing.
fun.
That is the first rule. Not any of the rules in the handbook. When you see the handbook, it says that these are suggestions. Number one rule, players have fun. Full stop.
Yeah, that's some pretty goddamn good DMing advice, I'd say.
Mhm.
Thank you.
From all of us, in fact.
Yeah.
Now, we should be moving on to the next topic because we've been on this one for quite a while.
Gavin, do you have one in mind?
Oh, you wanted me to go. Okay.
I'm also
This
going
one's
to
also
give us a time check in private.
okay. This one could also be a hefty one, mainly because I have two very basic questions and then one fairly fat question, depending on how much of a response you want to give.
Okay.
So I'll wait until the time check comes in to give that topic. Oh, video games.
I feel like we've touched on this one
Favorite.
before.
Yeah, but not in the way that I'm wanting to this time.
Yeah.
Favorite, first, least favorite, and what video games are to you. And when you say first, I don't want to just hear the game. I want to hear the story.
Alrighty.
Because sure, it may be like cringy or whatever for people to get into their feels online, I guess. But people need to understand how much of a valid art form video games are, and how much that they actually do touch and change the lives of people.
I would like to recommend Shane to go first because he hasn't been speaking a lot.
You know what? Good point. What about
Listen,
you,
man, I'm
boss
just
man?
sucking my own dick, bro. Leave me alone.
I'd
do it.
honestly, I'd commend you for that. Because
I
one, your
can't.
size, two, your
I,
back pain, and three, just flexibility. Damn.
Yeah.
I can't get over my stomach for that.
I can't. I can't either.
Yeah, man, just redistribute it to your fucking ankles, my dude. It's easy.
I've already got cankles. Leave me alone.
All right, redistribute it to your ears.
Redistribute it to your dick, dude. Just have like a massive fucking just
It's all fat. It's never gonna get hard again.
70-pound schlong, dude.
Yeah, bro. Fucking. Hey, ladies, ever seen an elephant penis?
Lady.
Sure, you say 12 inches long, whatever, 12 inches thick.
Fedora tip.
It's just a 70
And I
pound
don't mean
chode.
diameter, that's radius.
It's 70-pound chode.
You have like a 3-inch dick, but it's the size of a dinner plate.
God,
Oh, man.
It's bigger than any 12-inch I've ever seen. Oh, okay. That's a really awkward way to lead into the one that I was doing first, which was my first game ever. I was a child,
No.
really young, like I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old. Because I grew up with video games throughout my life. They're really big to me. The first one I played was with one of my cousins who sadly passed away in recent years via
Rip in
gunshot
peace.
wound. Um,
Oh.
but I was really close with all three of my cousins. Dakota, who is the one I just talked about, Kiana and Tristan, who are twins. Um, I was really close with them until like 10, 11 years old, I think. And Dakota played football, and he was really good at it. He was a good couple years older than me. And I was like, well, I want to do what you do, but I was too young, obviously, to actually play football. So, do you know the Tecmo, like old arcade style football game?
Yeah.
That
Which one?
I don't know.
I know which one he's talking about.
It
Like
was
right off. I'm pretty sure Game Grumps played it.
it was redone into like a Tecmo best of and put on like the OG Xbox. That's the one that I played. Um, I got my ass beat a lot. I wasn't good at it.
As is typical with kids.
However, because that's really all I've really got for that one is like it was touching for me because like it was a good way for me to spend time with my cousin, doing things that we both enjoyed, video games, and then also football, which is something that he understood even at a young age. Um, but after that, I really got into the Dragon Ball fighting games of the PS2 era, which my dad had also been really good at. So he would kick my ass day in and day out for several months. Starting probably from like the age of 8 onward. Come 9 years old, he refused to play Dragon Ball fighting games with me anymore. I I would sit down and I enjoyed them so much because they were Dragon Ball and it was so cool and cinematic. I got to the point where I would beat his ass effortlessly. His fucking 9-year-old son. And then the PS3 era of Dragon Ball fighting games came out, and he was like, okay, I can beat him here. He beat me for a little while, and then I played it on my own. And
No.
so the final cutoff was like 11 years old. Was the last time he played any Dragon Ball fighting game with me. He refused to pick up Fighters with me when it came out.
Oh,
Which, I mean,
damn.
he might have been able to kick my ass. He played a lot more Street Fighter than I ever had. So those were kind of my first introductions to games. My favorite game, or my least favorite game? Which would you like to hear?
Least favorite.
I have to say, I don't really know if I have a real least favorite game. I usually stay away from games that I know I'm not going to enjoy. Like most sports games. I'm not really a fan. I can just watch the sport instead.
Yeah.
But I have to say, to date, my least favorite game had to have
It's
been
Destiny 2.
had to be the Killzone that was released for PS4. Let me grab it real quick. It'll be just a second.
Very mid.
Overwhelmingly okay.
So, I don't think you guys are familiar with the Killzone games, but this one was Killzone Shadowfall. They're first-person shooter games, the Killzone series, and my favorite happens to be 3, which was, coincidentally, released for the PlayStation 3. Honestly, fucking amazing. Immaculate. I love the gameplay, I love everything about it. The storyline's cool. This Killzone is not Killzone. It tried to be Splinter Cell is what it tried to be. Like,
Oh.
yeah, like there was no covert ops or anything in the Killzone games prior to this, but this whole game just tried to be fucking Splinter Cell, and it made me physically ill. I got to like 3 missions, and I was like, I'm fucking done.
Game bad.
Game bad, make me feel bad. So, I just, I can't stand it. I don't even know why I still have it. I should have sold it a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I guess that leaves favorite game, right? There was no other categories that you wanted to know about?
Yeah, favorite game.
Oh, you also wanted to know what games mean to me. So, that kind of goes hand in hand with my favorite game. It's less of a favorite... It's a favorite series of games. And I guess I do have a favorite game, because it stands at the top of every game I've ever played, which is Dragon Quest VIII for the PlayStation 2. Dragon Quest is a JRPG that pretty much, I believe it's the first one, kind of sets the premise where the main character is the hero of light. You're meant to save the world from darkness after it's been plunged and just fucking filled with monsters. And in some cases, the monsters were already there, but now they're, like, instead of coinciding with the people, now they're feral and just attacking and just aggressive. And honestly, I love it to death. The storylines in all of them that I've played so far, which is most of them, I think, have been immaculate. Some of the best characters I've ever seen in games. Turn-based RPGs, this is what got me into them, is the Dragon Quest games. And even like the spin-off series, I know one of them, I don't know if, it might have a couple of others, but the biggest one for me is the Dragon Quest Monsters, where instead of fighting as a hero and having a team of humans, you have a team of monsters. you recruit them from the wild. After you beat them, you have a chance of them standing up and like, "Hey, you beat my ass. So now I guess I better work for you, huh?" And that's I really fucking love the Dragon Quest baseline story games, but the monsters games just they scratch an itch. It's almost like Pokemon meets the regular Dragon Quest series almost, because dude, I can't I could go on and on about how much I love it, but I'll save you that. Um, my favorite game is Dragon Quest VIII, which released on the PS2, and actually has one of when I said that they have some of the best characters I've ever seen. The one that stands at the top is the second party member that you start with in the game, Yengus. He is a former bandit king that kind of like tries to rob you in the party uh, at the like pre-game start, and he ends up causing the feeble bridge he was standing on to collapse. So the main character, pretty much just save him, and he's like, "Oi, governor! Oh, I can't believe it! I gotta repay you, governor." And he's the biggest fucking bro throughout the entire thing. Like when you pick up your third party member, who's out to avenge her brother from being killed by this Dulmagus character, which caused all the issues in the story, and she's like, "Well, how did you two meet?" And that's when you get the details on how they met. Um, fuck, what did he call her? Um, oh my god, I don't remember, but it was pretty much like she was like an heir to a pretty rich family.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much it was like spoiled brat without it being like in a negative context. It was like fuck. Anyway, like I wouldn't expect her to understand a story like ours, governor. And I'm like, "Oh, Diegus, I fucking love you, dog." Like fucking dude watches your back nonstop throughout the story, and he's such a goofy character, but it works so fucking well. He's oh fuck, dude. Whenever we start doing like the couch gaming, I'm definitely playing through Dragon Quest VIII with you guys, 100%. So you can
Why did you
just
say that? The audience doesn't listen to the thing. That's a
no, they know
Come
that that's a
on,
thing.
tell me
They
the
know that
secret.
that's a thing. That's a thing that they know about.
Okay, you get a pass.
Me
You get a
boss.
pass.
Me boss.
Me, boss of this episode, you get a pass.
Okay. Fucking grab you by the throat, wring you out.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, bro.
Not you, not you, yeah, not you.
Yeah, fuck you,
Yeah,
dude.
fuck you, yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
fuck
you,
you.
fuck you.
Fuck you.
When?
Anyway. What?
Huh?
What?
Nothing. I didn't say. Dragon Quest. What games mean to me? Because I've been talking for a while now. Games are, dude, they hold such a special place in my heart. They're a way for me to kind of like, when the world gets to be too much, and I'm just kind of bogged down, whether it's by myself, like I'm just bogging myself down, or it's just everything's going on around me, I can just turn on some tunes, turn on a game, and just enjoy existing. Um, it actually led me to going to Francis Tuttle to be a game developer. Um, didn't pan out, but I enjoyed my time while I was there, and I enjoyed the RPG that I had started making. Um, games. I don't do movies very often. I don't do TV shows very often. Video games are my version of seeing emotions and experiencing all that shit like you do in movies and TV shows. I am more encapsulated into a storyline of a video game than I am a movie or a TV show. Hell, even anime. I am much more invested into the storyline and the destiny of characters in video games because they just hook me in and they're like, I feel for those characters. They become like another little family to me through the screen.
Yeah.
If something happens, like the BBEG shows up and just fucking throws a fireball at the fucking group, I'm like, oh my fucking god, why would you do that? They're just trying to get by. You better fucking hope they're okay, or I'm gonna crawl through this myself.
I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so much more connected to video game characters than I do actors and the characters they play and stuff like that. So, I mean, fucking video games are, they mean a hell of a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Nate?
So I'm gonna start off with what games mean to me. I'm in a very similar boat to Shane here.
Yeah,
It's almost like an escape, and also kind of the same. I typically feel more for a game character than I do a movie or show character. There are some shows that I'm just like, this is incredible. I love this character, and I can feel for them super hard.
Mm-hmm.
But games do that a lot more for me because in games, because I don't typically play games where you don't make your character or you don't at least alter it to some degree. It's almost like it's part of you.
Yeah.
This character that you're playing is your manifestation in the game.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to my favorite game, which is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Not an uncommon favorite game. A lot of people like Ocarina of Time.
It is regarded pretty highly.
Oh, yeah. It set such a standard for games and was such a major stepping stone in the progression of games and how they played out, being fully 3D, all that kind of shit. It's a great game. I love it. The music in it is what really gets me. The gameplay is whatever. It isn't awful, but it's not the best. But the fucking music in it, God, I cannot say with a fully honest opinion that there is a single track from that game that I don't like, or that I don't at least think is extremely fitting. I may not want to listen to the battle music, the bum 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 bum, the fucking, you know, like the intense, just like fight music for typical enemies, but it's fitting. It works. It's exactly what it needed to sound like to get across that you are fighting something. It's no longer this like boom 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 boom. It's no longer something like that. It's more like it's great. I
It's some
love it.
serious shit.
Yeah. A lot of the music that I listened to for a long time, I listened to because it either reminded me of it or it just was from it. Like for a while, I was falling asleep to the Ocarina of Time soundtrack. And so that's kind of what like led me into my love of music in games, which brings me to another favorite, which I wouldn't say this is my favorite game in general, but it's kind of almost on par with the music for me. Shadow of the Colossus. At the time of release, kind of a hidden gem. Didn't do too great, if I recall. But nowadays, people love it. It's not for everybody. The combat is okay. But again, the music is fucking immaculate. The soundtracks sound mostly, if not completely unique for every single Colossus you fight. And they all instill a different feeling while fighting it. Like you're fighting the big fucking bird. And you're like, and you're like, holy shit, this is intense. And then you go fight what's his face with the big fucking stone ass sword looking thing. I don't remember their names off the top of my head. But again, the music, it makes it. Music makes a game for me, even though I typically don't play games with the sound on anymore. But
Yeah.
games that I know have a good soundtrack, I will typically play. There are very few games where I will play with the sound on. Shadow of the Colossus is one of them. Ocarina of Time's another. Love it.
Yeah.
But my least favorite game,
Mario Party.
Mario. No, I'm not a big Mario fan, but I respect Mario. I respect it as a game.
Yeah.
They've had some really good games, even though a lot of them are just clones of each other. For instance, um, what is it? Fucking Mario Galaxy or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good new direction that Mario took in terms of gameplay, and I respect it. But my least favorite game has got to be tied between, and this might surprise you based on what I just said. It's got to be tied between Majora's Mask and Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe.
Yeah.
I didn't like MK versus DC because it was a clunky mess.
Not
Yep.
many people do.
Terrible.
Let's be honest.
Like I went from MK Armageddon and Deception to DC Universe. And even by comparison to those games, which were notably older, it felt like shit. It felt absolutely garbage. And I was really excited to play it too, because I was like, it's gonna be sick. I'm gonna get to play as Joker, I'm gonna get to play as all these cool motherfuckers from DC, and then it just flopped so goddamn hard. I don't think that's a controversial opinion.
I think it's pretty common, actually.
Yeah. However, my hatred of Majora's Mask is. I know a lot of people like Majora's Mask, but I don't like it for several reasons. The music in it, still pretty good. However, whereas Ocarina of Time was a perfect, if not near perfect, blend of all the music to the vibe you're supposed to get to it being dark at times, but very like hopeful and bright at other times. Majora's Mask is hands down the darkest Legend of Zelda game that exists.
Yeah.
I genuinely could not name another one that is darker. Like Twilight Princess, was their darkest in appearance. It had a very almost grayscale kind of look to it. And it looked much more like detailed and almost realistic compared to just about every other Legend of Zelda. But the music didn't like it didn't make it feel like it was just fucking dark. There was a lot of really good music in it and a lot of characters that were very lovable. Majora's Mask though, the whole thing feels like a fuck fever dream to me. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm not saying that it's not as good as other games. I'm saying because of how dark everything felt and just the mechanics of you being a child throughout all of it and the fact that you get your masks from the dead, it felt like one really long fever dream. The whole entire thing
And then
was
there's
just
the fucking
Yeah.
moon.
Then there's the moon. The whole thing was a fever dream. Like, it was a good game. They nailed what they were going for, but I don't like what they were going for.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. Like, It's not a bad game. Like I said, a lot of people love Majora's Mask. It's just fucking freaky to me.
I've,
Yeah.
I've
I
noticed.
never even beat it.
Jeez, I never played it, but I have noticed that in the Zelda community, it's kind of a mixed reviewed game for pretty much the reasons that you've described, honestly.
Yeah, just starting the game makes me feel like I'm having a fever dream. Because if I recall correctly, it came out immediately after Ocarina of Time. Maybe not like immediately, but it was the next game.
Yeah, and it wasn't what
Um,
was technically promised either.
yeah. But it's just imagine like the build up from like this at the time, not all that common kind of storyline, especially executed the way that it was, with fantastic music. Every location you go to gives off a different vibe. Everything feels sometimes dismal, but you know it'll work out. Jorah's Mask immediately after feels like you're going to lose from the fucking start. Everything
Hmm.
feels shitty, feels like you're having a terrible time. You may not be having a terrible time playing, but you feel like your character is genuinely having a terrible time. From the moon in the sky taking the faces of the dead, fucking you're just a kid doing all this shit, to
Fucking,
the fucking cows in the UFO on the ranch.
fucking
It's so goddamn weird.
poor Link.
And yeah, poor fucking Link. And because of that, I would say Majora's Mask or MK versus DC is my least favorite game. Like I said, Majora's Mask, not necessarily a bad game, just not for me.
Yeah.
But MK versus DC is just a bad game. It's just fucking awful.
Yeah. As somebody who, I'm not sure if you guys can get it yet, but I love fighting games.
No way.
Are you
Um,
kidding?
Are you serious?
I'm not sure if I said it in a fighting games topic. Wait, no, I didn't do fighting games as a topic. I brought up fighting games in Star Wars. But I like fighting games in general. I like King of Fighters, Tekken, fucking Virtua Fighter, MK, Dragon Ball Fighters, Budokai Tenkaichi 2. I like fighting games. I like a lot of fighting games. I hate NK versus DC. Hate it.
Yes. It's awful. Now, what are your favorites and least favorites, and what do games mean to you, Big G? Or just games in general, I guess.
My first ever game was okay. Yeah. First ever game was Halo 2 on the original Xbox when I was 3 years old. And I played that endlessly. I played it so much that as a 3-year-old, I beat up the story on Legendary. Halo fans know how difficult it is to do that. As a child, you don't really like when you're playing a game. When you're that young, you're like, I don't see like I need to fight until it's done, until it's ended. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, game that I hate the most. I'm trying to think of a game that like I genuinely can't stay playing. Fuck that. Me. Sorry about that, little stools. Shit. Ah. A game that I hate. Fuck. If I had to say something, when I think of a game that I hate, I think of a game that I can't stand playing. Like I can't sit down and I can't, in full consciousness, no matter what's going on, say that I am enjoying my time playing the game. And I know this is very contradictory considering that you guys just heard me say that about fighting games, but I cannot say that Street Fighter V is my least favorite game of all time.
Hmm. Any particular
Really?
Because
reason?
because because here's the thing. It's one thing if you say, Madden is my least favorite game of all time. Because no shit, dude. Most people hate sports games. If you say, Farming Simulator is my least favorite game of all time. Dude, what are you expecting from Farming Simulator? God of War? It's
Honestly,
different. It's different if you play a game that you already have some semblance of background that you think that you might enjoy it. I like fighting games. So whenever I gave Street Fighter 5 a try, I was like, okay, let's get into this. I'm familiar with this genre. This is awful. I don't like playing this. This sucks. What?
yeah.
And it's different when it comes to things where you like, from the very start, it's gonna be shit. I know that I'm not gonna like Madden. I know that I'm not gonna like MLB games. I know that I'm not gonna like NBA games.
You might like Farming Sim though. I've seen some
Unless it just takes the
gameplay.
piss, then yeah, I will.
Cause like it's less the fact that it's farming and more the shenanigans that ensue. I've seen some shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we might keep that in mind.
To be fair, the game is less so not really marketed around that insane shit, and it's just more so marketed around the farming. So
There's
that stuff
fucking
is a bonus, less of the core of the actual game.
there's fucking esports for Farming Sim, bro.
Fucking really?
Yeah. It's
That is
so
the dumbest shit I've ever
I
heard. But
find
That
it
is exactly what I thought.
I find it to be hilarious.
it's very funny though.
It's funny, but it's also very stupid.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm
Um,
sorry for interrupting.
Favorite game of all time. See, I can't in full consciousness say that I have a favorite game because how about like I do like three different categories?
Sure.
Best best game of all time in my opinion for gameplay, best game of all time in my opinion for story,
Sure.
and of course best game for just the balance of both. Best game for the balance of both, Halo 2. I know, first game, what a surprise, but I know every single line in that game. I like the story is genuinely incredibly memorable. And the gameplay is, I mean, it's fucking Halo 2. It's great. What do you fucking mean? Um, in terms of story, it's between Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War 2018.
Ooh, good choices.
More Red Dead Redemption 2.
Really?
Yeah,
Any
just
reason?
it. The thing is for me is that like this is a man who is used to like like this isn't like King of the Hill man is seeing the world change around him. This is a person who is seeing his understanding of how the entirety of the world works crumble around him.
Mm.
The law is starting to reach places that they never thought the law would reach in at least their entire lifetime. The his the leader who he's trusted for almost his entire time being in this gang, is the right hand man of, is becoming questionable. The person that is just unbearable is being preferred over you. And during all of this, during so many people that you trust and love dying on these fruitless efforts to constantly just one more plan, Arthur, one more plan, Arthur, one more plan, Arthur, just every single one of them, just resulting from bad to worse, from worse to the worst. You get tuberculosis. There is no cure. You're a dead man,
Yeah.
as far as you know. And through it, you just push on. And literally everything you know is already starting to crumble around you. The people you know and love are dying around you. You're losing almost every single day, and all that you have left is just this constant existential question: am I a good man? And Arthur is in this constant denial of being one. He's always like, whenever somebody tells him that he's a good man, he says no, he's not, because he's ridden with guilt and grief over the things he has done that are morally bad in the past. That he's just too blind to realize the good that he's been doing as of late. One of my favorite scenes in Red Dead 2, he sits next to a woman on a bench, and she's a nun, I think is what she was. It's been a minute since I actually played it. And I think it goes along lines of like belief, and she asks her if he's a man of a belief, and he obviously says no, and then asks her, and she's like, "Well, you're a good man, so I'd assume so." Before she asks him about his belief, of course. And when he replies, and he's like, "Does that make me a bad man, ma'am?" And she kind of like tells him that no, because even if you're not a person of belief in some kind of religion or some kind of deity or social structure, you have a belief in something. Whether it be you believe in helping people, whether be that you believe in trying to make the world a better place, whether or not you just believe in your family or not to try and keep them safe or whatever. Everybody believes in something at the end of the day. And what you believe in and how you go about supporting that belief is what makes you who you are. And Red Dead 2 does a fantastic job of showing that you can always just change who you are, and you can always just make up for the mistakes that you have done in the past, regardless of, if you're a mass murdering robber like Arthur was. And just like showing that sometimes that this is going to sound kind of like weird coming from me, because the two of you know that like my dad died and all that stuff, right? And how that like really affected me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that like death sometimes is just okay. When you play the good end for Arthur in Red Dead 2, he he kind of just like he accepts at his end somewhat peacefully and just tries to enjoy his last moments seeing just the beautiful valley and just knowing that at least everything that he knew hasn't become completely consumed.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to get into the God of War one because that's also going to be a long-winded tangent. Um, and like favorite game in terms of gameplay, honestly, Doom Eternal.
Kind of expected that one. You talk
Doom
really highly of
Eternal,
it.
either Doom Eternal or Dark Souls 3, because Doom Eternal is the only game that I have ever played that actually always has me focused on it completely and engaged. Because I'm somebody with very rampant ADHD. Every single other game that I play, I need something else: music, YouTube videos, talking to other people, etc. With Doom Eternal, there's so much stuff to manage and to think about and to do in like split-second decisions that there isn't room for anything else. I can fully focus on a game and not be frustrated doing so.
Yeah.
And while yes, that might just be a simply I have ADHD and that's how it is to me kind of thing, it's still nice. Because I wish I could still focus on one thing at a time. I wish I could still just like sit down and read a book or something, but I can't. I need it to be an audiobook and I need to be doing something that takes a lot more of my attention.
I get that.
And I think the biggest one, which I'm going to get somewhat philosophical about, so forgive me, obviously, what do games mean to me? Now, the biggest elephant in the room is obviously games are, well, an escape, which is very valid and very true. But I also think it's an opportunity for people to, to, if not believe, then feel like they are something that they are not, or do something they cannot do. Like, I sure as shit cannot swing around and kill demons, but I wish that I could. And that'd be fun as fuck, right? But it also just like comes down to just like a super like almost saddening level, because consider that fact that play a lot of people that are also depressed play Animal Crossing or play The Sims. Partially because a lot of people who are depressed have struggles doing basic tasks like doing, dishes or doing laundry or helping out the community.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, a lot of people like doing things in games that they either can't or feel like they just aren't able to do in real life. And it's not only an escape, but it's also kind of like a silent, almost subconscious event.
Yeah, I can see that.
I definitely get that. Like with
But
games like fucking Infamous, I'm like, oh, I so fucking wish I could do this shit in real life. Infamous 1 and 2. I didn't like Second Son, but I wouldn't call it a bad game.
yeah, it was still a fun game.
I heavily
Yeah.
enjoy it.
But
Though,
it's also
oh no, go ahead.
yeah, it's also a big part of the reason. Another thing that I forgot about, and the whole like what vegans are to me is this one is less so vegans, more so just kind of like gains in general. But you can be who you truly want to be. Like I want to be like you guys. I'm not sure if this is just in my head, but you guys know that I'm somebody who likes to just try and help people and just be as available as much as possible to everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to me, that still doesn't feel like enough. That still doesn't feel to me like I am enough of a good friend as I wish to be. And which is why, like, every single time I play an RPG, I can't bring myself to do evil runs because I just feel bad. I want to be as big of a help and be as good of a person as I possibly can be. And
Right.
it just reminds me of just like that whole thing.
Yeah. Motherfuckers like me, fucking Genova. I'll actively like do a run in a game and I'll make my decisions how I would, and then if I enjoyed the game enough, I'll play through it again and do the opposite.
Yeah. I just can't bring myself to do it because I just feel bad and feel mean.
Yeah, makes sense.
It happens.
Still have never killed Solaire. Never. I refuse to.
Yeah, me too.
He's a good
I'm a
boy.
true son, bro.
Solar is good boy. You can't kill good boy.
Exactly. But I will say that was a very big topic, much like mine. And I believe if we still have time, Shane should have one.
We do not have time. We
For
we are so over time
real? Or like how much?
by like it's almost 2 hours.
Oh.
We're almost at the 2 hour mark.
Woo! Damn.
Damn.
This is our longest episode. Shit.
And I still have to edit it before Monday. Fun! But that's for me to worry
Well,
about and nobody else.
yeah, and you can go first next time and get any topics you want out of the way.
And I shall.
I will say we didn't get over that 50-minute if need be mark. At least from the message that you had already sent in the
They said we had
chat.
30 minutes and we can go over another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I suppose that's fair. Well, no, actually, we have gone over
No,
the.
because 30 minus 16 would make it 3 o'clock, and then you had the leftover 14 to add to 3 a.m. to add to the already existing 3 o'clock, 3 minutes and 3:14 a.m. and then you could take a uh brain. It's very late.
I didn't
Short and
Actually,
short.
educate me.
I just did it out. We're about 5 minutes short of the maximum time.
Yeah, I told you it's under the 50.
Yeah, about 5 minutes, not 15.
Yeah. Listen. I'll start with my topic next time because it would have been my turn to start anyway.
Yeah.
And then, so anyway, I guess I'm gonna call this episode the mostly D&D episode. No, I'll call it the
Dungeons
half
and
and half.
Dinguses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the half and half is catchy.
Dungeons and Dimwits.
Dungeons and
Dungeons and Dimwits, I like that.
I do like that.
Doing your dads.
Dungeon and Dead. Okay, well, while
That
I
sounds like a dating sim game.
It does.
yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it exists.
Look it up.
There,
You can down that episode. I'm gonna look it up.
All right. So that was that. I've got like 2 hours worth of video to edit. Anyway.
Dog.
Yeah, no, you're
Oh,
not.
it's a podcast. It's a D&D podcast. Dungeons and Daddies.
No fucking way.
Oh my god.
We're gonna burn them to the
It's-
ground.
We're
Dads, like a bunch of dads flung in, just like modern day dads flung into the D&D world.
That's amazing.
fucking beautiful.
I love that. Never mind. We're not gonna take them on as competitors.
Yeah, they're based.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, little stools, because apparently that's the patented term we're calling you now.
Yeah, I'm so glad I came up with it.
Thank you for listening and or watching. This time you should be able to see Anthony's Pip talk.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Talk for a minute.
Ooga booga, me like booga, ooga booga.
Never mind. I didn't fix it.
God damn it.
I
This
really
entire
don't know.
time we're like, hey, he's moving.
Well, so I did. Why are we still? Fuck it. At the end of the episode, we'll see you next one. Bye. Bye.
Monkey wrench.